Hello. I'm really freaking tired today. I had like a scare with my intestines yesterday. It was really freaky. Like, I started bleeding everywhere. It's crazy. I had to go to the emergency room and they did a CT scan and everything looks normal. So I was afraid I'd have like fucking cancer or something. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, I don't want cancer, especially in my colon. That's not good. Um, but yeah, they didn't find anything like that, so I gotta go have a colonoscopy to see what's up in my bowels, because I've been having lots of problems with that lately. I had polyps when I was 5. I had like 3 of them, and they had to remove them. It's crazy. Thinking about it now, I realize how lucky we were to find those, because generally they don't show symptoms and you don't find them until it's too late. So, like, when I was that age, we're really fucking lucky to find them. And if I have them now, we're really fucking lucky to find them now. And I gotta stay on top of that shit so I don't get cancer. Because my bowels don't like me, apparently. But yeah, so I'm not gonna die, so that's good. Thought I was gonna die yesterday. Seriously, not good. Yesterday was not a good day. Well, maybe it was a good day because I found out I wasn't gonna die. I don't know. But yeah, so um, I just wanted to like talk about some books I've been reading lately. I've been reading a few of them, and this one's really good. It's called The Star-Borne, A Remembrance for the Awakened Ones. This one's really good. I haven't finished this one yet, but it talks about a lot of stuff, like, and if you're not like ready for it, it's gonna go way over your head, and you're gonna think it's crazy. Like, you're gonna think a crazy person wrote this book. So if you're not ready for it, then don't read it. But it talks about well, first of all, it talks about how we all come from a singular point. So, like, basically the Big Bang Theory, we all come from the same star, the same singularity, and how we're all one. And it talks about, like, how some individual units of consciousness are stuck in duality, like good, evil, lie, truth, win, lose, love, hate, that kind of duality. And it talks about the transformation into oneness, into the ultra greater reality. So, like, the singularity, like the reality that you're supposed to be in, the exact place that you need to be. Um, and it kind of reminds me of like where I would be if I were immortal. Like, if I were an immortal being, like, I would be in this ultra greater reality forever, and that's just where I would be all the time. Like, if we were to, like, I guess maybe I live this life in a cycle. I live the same life over and over again, over and over and over and over and over and over again, just because that's the way it is. And I don't really have any complaints about that. I would be okay with that. I had a lot of crazy things happen to me, but it's just logical. It's like the third law of physics. Every action must have an equal and opposite reaction. So if you want to have super cool, super good things happen to you, you're probably going to have crazy, terrible things happen to you. And it's just logic. And you just got to go with it. It's just the way things are. It's just the laws of the universe. Maybe we'll go to another universe where these laws don't apply and you're not so limited. But in order to do that, you got to let go of a lot of things. And it's freaky. It's really freaky. But yeah, it talks about individual consciousness being stuck in duality and how you don't want to be stuck in duality. Because oneness, there is no win-lose. It's all win-win. It's like you go into life with this mentality that everything happens for a reason, and there is no good, and there is no evil. It's just all one. It's just all meant to be that way, and we're all just going. Just because it's the way it is. It's the initial parameters of the universe. And initial parameters of the universe are really important because it could have made everything really fucked up. Like, Could you imagine, like, wow, like if everything is really conscious, like, I wonder what that would be like. Hmm, weird. But what else does it talk about? It talks about relationships and how you should try to search for somebody that is not stuck in duality, because a person that's stuck in duality is a fragmented being. They're not whole. They're not a whole being. They're not one. And you don't really want to be with fragmentary beings. But like, get off your fucking high horse, Megan. And like, this is all just absolute comparative stuff. Like, you can't. It's really hard to escape duality. Like, you gotta go fucking Buddha or something. Especially in this world. It might be a little easier in a world that wasn't so technologically advanced. I don't know. But but here's a good one about oneness. There is no facet of our lives or of our beings that is not sacred, or which is separate from the one. By loving all parts of ourselves in all stages of our journey, we become whole and holy. So basically, that means you're thankful for the pain and the happiness. Even though being thankful for pain seems really counterintuitive, it's like super fucking counterintuitive. It's just like, it's just the way it is. You just gotta deal with it. It's just one. There's no what if. There only is. Everything that happens for a reason. You're not gonna change it. You gotta live in the moment. Um. Oh, here's a good line. Are we spiritual beings having a human experience, or are we human beings having a spiritual experience? It's like this. It's like both at the same time, and that's just an absurdity. Or it's one or the other, depends on your perception. But both at the same time just breaks everything, makes reality fall apart. Um, it's got like tons of like highlighted stuff in it, and sometimes the freaking dude would say stuff was wrong, and it's like, could you not? Could you not do that? I'd rather you didn't do that. But there's tons of stuff or tons of stuff highlighted. It talks about how the spiritual and the physical world are not separate, like they're the same thing, and how they're just became fragmented, split in half. Like there should be another word for the whole. We should make up a new word for the whole, because there's like a third thing. It's like, if you wanted to, you could call it a triality, I guess, but it kind of defeats the purpose. It's like of being one. I really like how it talks about relationships, and how it talks about like a relationship being likened to, like, our lives being likened to a campfire, and how we like have to throw wood on the fire to keep going. And then so you get with this person who like can't freaking keep their fucking fire going, and you have to help them, and you have to throw wood onto their fire, and then your fire goes out, and then you're just left being unhappy. So it's like sucky, really sucky. And that's how a lot of relationships go these days, that I've noticed. I tend to stay out of them. Like, fucking give me too much fucking anxiety. But it talks about a good relationship being how you got two people with these campfires, and you're both building your own fire, and eventually the fires just become so large that they just converge into one whole fire. And it talks about like synergy, and how like you both have common goals, and how you help each other reach that common goal, and it basically one. You're both the whole, just this one whole entity. And I'm kind of confused about that too, because you can't really like You could lie to yourself and say that you were only one with one person, but that's not true. You'd be lying to yourself. You're one with everybody, you're one with all people. So basically, I don't know, maybe you have the capacity to love everybody the same way as you love your significant other. I really don't think people don't know what love is. Like, I feel like love is thrown around too much. I think talk is cheap, really cheap. I haven't finished reading this book though. But there's this. The biggest main point is that you are one. If there is a God, it's you, and you're one with it. It's controlling you, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, it's not like it's changing anything. It hasn't. Nothing's changed. You just know something now. Like, your awareness is becoming greater. There's no reason to be afraid of that. Oh, I don't feel well. Ugh. There's no reason to be afraid of that, because you want to get out of duality and you want to be in the ultra greater reality, the singularity. You don't want to be in the duality. You want to be in the singularity. And duality is like good and evil, like Jesus and Satan, for example. That's a duality. But that, to my individual consciousness, that doesn't make any fucking sense, because God is everything, and God is Jesus and Satan. So that whole concept just falls apart for me. I don't really get it. But I haven't fucking read the entire Bible either. Maybe there's something that I missed. I don't know. It'd be really funny though, wouldn't it? But that's not the only place to find truth, because I found truth in here too. The Word. Find truth in the Word. And that's a great segue to my next book that I just finished reading yesterday. The Four Agreements. This is a really good book. This is a really good book. And this is probably a book that I'll read a lot, because this is a book that you need to meditate on and practice to master, because it's really fucking hard. I'll just read you the Four Agreements. First agreement is to be impeccable with your word. So, like, it's not just about lying and telling the truth and being truthful to yourself. It's about noticing when people are like in a bad mood and they say things. It's like noticing that they're not actually doing that because of you. They're doing it because of them and how they feel, not because of you. They're not attacking you. So yeah, be impeccable with your word, and don't say mean things to people. Don't say mean things about yourself. More importantly, be positive about yourself. And actually, that kind of makes the whole no duality thing fall apart, because what's positive and what's negative? I have no fucking idea. It hurts my head. Ow, 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 ow. Anyway, like I said, it's really fucking hard to escape duality. Like, we're fragmented beings. Like, it's just a thing. It's just a fucking thing. We're fragmented beings. I think. I don't know. Maybe it just is. Maybe there's nothing to talk about. Maybe we're just making stuff up as we go. Okay, the second agreement is don't take anything personally, and I basically already talked about that. It's like, somebody's not saying that because of you. They're saying it because of how they feel. And especially, it's the same if they say something positive about you. Like, if they're like, oh, you're so smart, blah, 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 blah. Don't take that personally. They're not saying that. They're saying that because of how they feel, because of something that you did. You made them happy, so they're going to say that. You make them mad, so they're going to say that. Basically, this whole book is about taking an oath of silence. It doesn't say that, but it's like, after reading it, it's like, I should take an oath of silence. But that's never fucking going to happen. Anyway, the third agreement is don't make assumptions. Don't think I think. Don't think I think. Don't think I think, because if you do think I think, there's a problem and you need to talk to me. And then the fourth agreement is always do your best. Doing your best is fucking hard sometimes because life fucking sucks. And you know what? Just assume that you're always doing your best. Just assume that you're always doing your best, and you'll find that things just start to change. That it just transmutes itself. The energies just change. Start being positive, and you'll find that things just come to you. Seriously, it works. I'm not kidding. And if you fucking say, if you're gonna be negative and fucking say it doesn't work, then it's not gonna fucking work, you fucking moron. See, I told you it was hard. I'm not being impeccable with my word. I'm calling you a moron. Don't call people morons. You fucking moron. So this book talks about like how words are like super powerful, and I really like it because the Bible said the world was spoken into existence, and this book it like talks about how our words send messages out to the universe and or affect the universe, and even our tiny little minuscule words affect the entire universe on a grand scale. Isn't that crazy? And it talks about like how some words are like black magic, and how humanity is stuck in that loop of black magic. They can't even see. It's like normal to them now. It's just the way things are. It's just completely and utterly normal, and nobody knows. Oh, God, excuse me. So like saying mean things about people, that's considered black magic. Calling someone stupid, that's black magic. Lying to people, that's black magic. Manipulating people, that's black magic. There's a lot of things that are black magic, and there's still things being revealed to me that are black magic. But then that goes back to that duality concept and being one. See what I'm saying? It's really hard to escape duality. It's just that we're fragmented beings altogether. How did I get here? What's going on? It's really weird. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it physically hurts my brain, or mentally hurts my emotion. Sometimes it like hurts my brain, pretzels it up, and just makes it clench. And it's really weird stuff we're talking about. Like this is like esoteric mysticism that we're talking about, and it's available to everybody equally. It's an equal power. It's present everywhere. It's present in Asia, where they don't have Christianity. It's present in America, where they have Christianity. It's present in the Amazon fucking rainforest, where they don't have anything. They don't have. It's all fucking native tribes. It's present there. It's present in fucking North Korea, where fucking everything fucking sucks. Apparently, allegedly, it's present everywhere. It's present for everybody. It's just a thing. It's not to be hoarded. You can't hoard power, and that is another question that. Wait, no, it doesn't. This book doesn't address power. Does it address power? The other book addresses power. I'm gonna have to go back to that book because there's a couple more things I want to talk about. But it talks about heaven and hell being a state of mind, and how you can be in heaven while other beings are trapped in hell. And that really fucking freaks me out, dude, because I don't like no. Why do I get to be in heaven while others are trapped in hell? Like, what up with that? What up with that? What up with that? That's not okay. That's so not okay. No. But then that goes back to the duality of right and wrong. Is there a right? Is there a wrong? Or is it all just initial parameters to keep everything moving smoothly? Because we are a dynamic entity. Like the universe is a dynamic entity. It moves, it expands, it grows. It probably has a consciousness. What else is something really this book? I really should write stuff down for you guys. Oh, and a lot of these things are literally just programmed into our brains. Just absolutely programmed. There's no way to get rid of it. It's just like the way we are. And people, and it makes me wonder, it's like, is this book even necessary? Like, I could live a perfect life in duality. I mean, I might be sad and I might be happy sometimes, but I could still live a perfect life in duality. And perfection is another thing. Like, what is perfection? Is there actual perfection? I think perfection is everything the way it is. Like, God made everything exactly the way it's supposed to be, no matter how it looks. No matter how it looks, everything is exactly the way it needs to be. And I don't care about heaven and hell and stuff like that. There's no better, there's no worse. It just is. And we can't understand that. And people that try to understand it are just really ignorant. Just incredibly ignorant. Like, there's no way. There's no fucking way you're ever going to be able to understand something like that. Like, ever. You might think, if you think you're some super old immortal being, and not immortal, because we're not. It's fucking weird. I cannot comprehend being something other than finite. Like, we are quantized units of energy, finite energy, quantized units of consciousness. Like, I cannot comprehend being infinite whatsoever. And I forgot where I was going. Dang. Oh, yeah. Even if you were, like, some super fucking crazy old thing, there's some big finite quantities in this universe. There are some large finite quantities in this universe. Like a googolplex. Do you know what a googolplex is? The googolplex is a number that has a Google of zeros after it. And I don't know what a Google is. I think it's 1,000 zeros. What's a Google? Dang it. What are you doing? Stupid phone. A Google is a large number 10 to the 100th power in decimal notation. It is written as one digit followed by 100 zeros. So it's got 100 zeros. So a Googleplex is really fucking big. Oh my god. It's fucking huge. And it makes me wonder, like, because the universe is allegedly only 12 billion years old. So, like, what's beyond the universe? I mean, there's some fucking large finite quantities in this place, and I know they exist for a reason. Could you imagine being that old? Could you imagine being that old? They say time moves relative to speed, so like in my last video I mentioned something about how like a 900-year-old being and a 30-year-old being actually are living for the same amount of time. It's just perception. So like their energy must be moving at different speeds. I don't know, it's weird. It's really weird. Their energy just must be moving at different speeds. So like if you're really fucking old, time moves slower as you move fucking faster. So maybe the really fucking old things are moving really fucking fast. And that kind of makes sense because molecules move really fucking fast. And they're really fucking old. They've been around for a really fucking long time. And so we don't live very long, so we must move really fucking slow. And it feels like time goes, it takes fucking forever for time to pass. So we must be moving really fucking slow. And it's just all relative. I'm just blabbing, like I forget what I want to say and then Oops. Finite quantities, Googleplex. Oh yeah, so we were talking about if you're a being that is really fucking old, trying to find out the truth of the universe. See, like, the truth is like infinite, you know? And in mathematics, there's literally no possible way to add any finite quantity to another finite quantity to get an infinite quantity. It's just not possible, not a thing. So you have to add an infinite quantity to it. So you have a number plus an infinite quantity equals infinity. So 1 plus a number equals infinity. And we don't know what that quantity is that would, well, actually it would just be infinity plus infinity, wouldn't it? And no, it would just be 1 plus infinity, which is that infinity or is that indeterminate? I can't remember if that's an indeterminate value or not. I learned about that in calculus, and we had to do limits with indeterminate values, like limits to infinity. That was fucking fun. I love calculus. I like to connect mathematics and science and philosophy because I know they all fucking connect. Like, that's duh. Of course they do. That would make perfect sense, wouldn't it? It's just common sense at this point. I don't know why it's common sense. I just know. I just know things. I just do. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm proven wrong. And I fully admit it most of the time. At least I'd like to think I do. What were we talking about? Time. Super old beings. What if there were crazy old beings? I wonder if they're aware of us. I mean, we would call something like that evil. Like, this crazy fucking huge being that, like, what if it needed to kill us or something? Like, what if its purpose was to kill us? I mean, the human race would find that evil. But is it actually? Would it actually be evil if the human race disappeared from the face of the earth? Because, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'd still continue. I feel like consciousness is an infinite thing. I have a consciousness now. I can't possibly comprehend not having a consciousness, so I really feel like that I can't die. Pretty sure I'm... Oh, remember how I said I couldn't comprehend an infinite being? I changed my mind. I could comprehend an infinite being. It's like consciousness. Like, I die and then my consciousness moves somewhere else. I become conscious somewhere else. It's really weird. But I'm still conscious, you know? I think of death as unconsciousness. It's like nothing. Total and complete nothing. It's just unconsciousness. Or maybe it's vice versa, because everything's inverse and the world's ironic that way. We're not going to talk about that. That's kind of freaky. Like, what was I talking about? Dang it. Oh yeah, infinite beings. So like my consciousness would just move somewhere else, no matter where. I could be a tree. I would love to be a tree. Oh my god, the stories trees could tell. They're so old. They're so pretty. I love trees. Wow. It's just such a wonderful place we live in. I feel like you should just be grateful to be here. And even though sometimes life sucks a lot. But I just look at my hands and it's like, wow. The human brain is capable of doing like a million calculations in a second. That's like the most powerful computer ever. Are we just computers? Am I a robot? I think I'd be okay with that. Like, robot's kind of negative in connotation. That would be an absolute comparative. Like, I'm a robot to something else, but I'm a human to myself. You know? Like, it's kind of just like we're all the same. Like, we're all just coming up with all these different names and boxes for the same type of energy. Like, everything's the same. Everything's one. Everything comes from the same energy. It's just these boxes. So I don't really like to do labels. I think labels are stupid and kind of pointless. And I'm kind of just been thinking, it's like we're all just the same. these labels that we have, they're kind of dumb. Like man, woman, gay, straight, even the transgender labels I hate. I even hate those. It's defeating the purpose completely. Like, the purpose is to eliminate gender norms altogether. But we're getting off topic. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this again. I want to talk about this book again. It redefines sin for you. I think this is the one that redefines sin. Is it this one? No, it's this one. This one. God, excuse me. Sin, 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 sin. This book is really cool because it like is perfect for any religion. It talks like in general terms, like it's got a judge, it's got a victim, and it's got a book of law. It's like the general template for religion. Where are you, sin? Sin, 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 sin. Oh, okay. So impeccable. Impeccable means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin word peccatus, which means sin. The im in impeccable means without. So impeccable means without sin. So this also emphasizes why it's really freaking important to read any religious texts in its native tongue. Like so the Bible needs to be read in Hebrew or even Latin if you can find it in Latin, and if you can read Latin, and then like the epics in for Hindi, they have to be read in Sanskrit, and any the Tao, is that what it's called? Is that the Chinese thing? That better be read in Chinese. Like seriously, it's got to be read in its native language, or you won't get the full effect. It'll be like a fucking bad game of telephone all over again. People just don't understand this stuff, and I don't understand why. It's like, I don't get it. Why? How did I get surrounded by such ignorance? Did I do it on purpose? Maybe it's because ignorance is literal bliss. Am I in hell and everybody else is in heaven? But I don't have to be in hell. That's my choice. That's my choice. It's nobody else's choice. Mine. I could be happy with anything that happens to me. Or I can make the decision to be sad. You consciously make the decision to be upset. You can. I mean, sometimes your emotions are kind of a roller coaster. But roller coasters are fun. I love roller coasters. It's fucking weird. Just love people. That's all. That's the truth. Is love. Is that we were created out of love, and it just makes sense. It just does. It just makes sense. Even though like it might be utterly pointless, we were created out of love. I think. That's another fun thing we can talk about. It's so weird. It's like everything is just planned. Like a computer. All I can see are zeros and ones. Zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and ones. Like a computer. And that's just an absolute comparative. Like, you'll never know the actual truth. Because you can't get to it. You can't. You just can't. It's not a thing. And you have to accept that. Like, the unknown is part of the duality that you're stuck in. The known and the unknown. If you eliminate the duality, then everything just becomes known. The unknown is also known. Like, you know that you can't know that, so you just forget about it. And then once you forget about it, things just start to come, and it's really fucking weird. The universe is just ironic that way. Um, it's kind of like how, here's a good example. Like, in order to travel the speed of light, I'm pretty sure your weight would become infinite, and the amount of energy it would take to move you would become infinite. So you can't travel faster than the speed of light. You literally can't. And that's kind of like how you literally cannot get to infinity. You just can't. You can't. Unless you think in the right way, I guess. Unless you have the right method of thinking, I guess, and you don't consider this body like immortal, like you consider this body finite and everything else a part of you is infinite. Like the breath of life is infinite. Um so like you can't travel faster than the speed of light. I always say I'm like from the nth dimension because finite quantity plus n equals infinity. It's like the bridge between the infinite and the finite. See what I'm saying? There's like this third thing that I can't get a clear picture of. Like I can't get a picture of it at all. It's just like this converging point. It's freaking weird. Um, lots of crazy things happening to me. Can't really explain it. I think I'm alright though. I could use more stuff though. More knowledge. More. See, I'm stuck in duality too. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way it is. Maybe one day we won't be stuck in duality. And the whole concept of it sounds quite terrifying because, you know, if like atoms, for example, I believe that in pan what is it? Panpsychism? Panpsychism, yeah. Where everything has an individual consciousness. So if you think of atoms, do they feel pain? Or is that just us anthropomorphizing them? Like, I have a human consciousness. I don't have an atom consciousness. So, like, people anthropomorphize things and, like, add human like emotions to things, and it just doesn't make sense. And that's why it's terrifying in nature because we are humans and we can't comprehend anything other than being human. Like, we have to stay on our straight and narrow path, human. Otherwise, some weird, crazy things are going to happen, and you don't want that to happen because it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Or maybe someday it will be fun. It'll just be the fucking bee's knees, just the fucking tops. It ain't fun right now. So, but then you can go back to thinking that you possess an infinite consciousness. So, like God consciousness. And God is an absolute comparative, people. There is no word for our Creator. None. You cannot even speak entire languages to define what the thing is that put us here. There's no way. And if you think you can, you're really ignorant and you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself because you're gonna wreck yourself. And it's like I really like the concept of the nth dimension because like it's like a variable, you know. I mean, it's kind of like I kind of relate the nth dimension being like my heaven, I guess, because it's where I'm whole. It's where I feel whole. I'm not a fragmentary being. And I really like it because it's a variable, you know? it's a state of mind thing. It's different for everybody. It's a variable. It could be anything. It could be an infinite amount of things. So instead of saying I'm from a specific dimension, I'm from the nth dimension, the infinitieth dimension. It's the same thing as saying the infinitieth dimension. That's where I'm from, the nth dimension. And and I've been thinking about like the absolute end of all matter, like the God particle, the nth particle. And it's called the nth particle because it's different for everybody. It could be anything. Or it could be the nth particle and it could just go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It depends on how you look at mathematics. It depends on how you look at life. It depends on everything. It depends on a lot of things. So is this God particle, the nth particle, the particle that operates in another dimension that we'll never ever be able to get to. Maybe it's the singularity, maybe it's the zeroth dimension. The zeroth and the nth dimension, and it all just loops back onto itself. It's like our reality is just naturally dualistic. Like, you can either live with duality or you can be one, and that's just dualistic in and of itself. See, I told you we're fragmentary beings. We can't not be fragmentary beings. So like all of this self, I feel like everybody just hates themselves. Like everybody's just like, I'm so evil. No, it's fine. You're good, dude. It's fucking fine. Don't freak. Don't freak out. Everything happens for a reason because it needs to. So I just feel like if I ever go through any bad things, it literally just had to happen for the fate of the universe freaking depends on it. It just had to happen. And I would never, ever, ever change it for anything. Because I know chaos theory, and I know if you change things, you can fuck shit up. Big time. It's the same thing that I was talking about the other day with like programs and how the freaking programs have glitches in it and you can't mess with things because it'll glitch out the program and it'll make it crash. Maybe that's why the world's so messed up, because something's messing with our program and it's glitching it out. Could you imagine having a perfect program? There's no such thing as a perfect program. There are always glitches. And it's crazy. Which, could you imagine our program being perfect and not having viruses? Which book talked about viruses? I think the Four Agreements talked about computer viruses. Like, our world is freaking infected by a fucking computer virus. And it's like, but that goes back to the duality thing. Like, it's just an absolute comparative for the whole coin. Is it evil? Or is that just my little perception? I mean, I'll always be conscious. So, is anything really evil if I'm always conscious? Just because I feel pain doesn't mean it's an evil thing. It's all part of the human experience, you know? You have your ups and your downs. And it's just the way it is. And you just gotta deal with it. And hope that things will get better. Have faith. Have faith in yourself, for one, because you are God. You are God, and God controls you. So, have faith in yourself. That's probably the best thing you could ever do, is have faith in yourself. Always assume you're doing your best. Because our brains are fragile as fuck, and they're temperamental as fuck. Just even one thing could just make everything spiral out of control. We're just sensitive beings. Sensitive, chaotic beings. And the universe is a chaotic place in and of itself, too. It just is chaotic. Maybe it's not actually chaotic, and it's just our perception. But then begs the question, like, why do we perceive things as evil? I mean, we're obviously perceiving them as evil. Like, this video could either be good or bad. There's no in between. It's that duality. Why? Why? And I don't think I'll ever find that out. It's a mystery. And, as a human, I kind of like the mystery. I mean, I have to. It's part of the experience. I don't really have a choice. Or maybe I did have a choice and I put myself here. I don't know. Another thing I was thinking about, like, I was thinking about traveling faster than the speed of light. And if you were, like, in a spaceship and there was an observer from Earth, this is really hard to wrap your head around. Like, but if you're in a spaceship and you instantaneously went to light speed, I'm pretty sure that the spaceship would appear there, but it wouldn't actually be there. It would just appear there. It would still be there even though it's not there, and then it would disappear. Um, and it's really fun to think about because all the stars in the sky are super fucking far away. So if there's like lag, there's lag in the things that we know. There's like a delay. So like, I mean, I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm sure like astrophysicists know things, I guess. I, I hope they're aware of the lag. They're smart. They should be aware of the lag. But, stars are really fucking far away. So, in theory, it's possible that a lot of the stars we're observing right now are dead. And we're just observing their residual light. And eventually that light will go out. Like, or like a supernova. Supernova could explode way far away, and it would take us forever to see it. And for us to get the shining light would just take forever to see it. So that star is already just long gone. It's already a nebula. It just looks like a supernova right now, but it's a nebula right now. It's no longer a star. It's a fucking nebula because it blew up. See what I'm talking about? There's lag. Um, so I've had this like thought, like, because I believe in God. I guess, like, I believe in consciousness, like consciousness, plans. We have plans. Consciousness. We got plans. Um, and I believe, and I'm just having this thought. It's like, well, what if all the stars just go out all at once? That would be crazy, dude. Do you know what that would mean? Because they're all different distances. That would be crazy. They'd all have to go out at specific times, like, depending on how far away they were. They'd all have to go out at special times in order for them to all go out at once, for us to perceive them all going out at once. And that would be fucking crazy if all the lights just went out at once. That would be pure chaos. Like, we would not be able to take that. And is it evil? I don't fucking know. I'm just dealing with it. I'm just experiencing it. It's all about the experience, bro. Experience. Live your life. And it's like, wow. What if that did happen? I wouldn't even be upset if that happened. I'd just be like, oh, that's amazing. Because I know I'll be alright. Like, I'll be alright. I'm pure consciousness. Right? Pure consciousness. And so that means my consciousness will live on forever. And I don't really know what that means. I limited myself on purpose for a reason. I created calculus on purpose. I love calculus. It's my favorite. It is. It's my favorite. I love calculus. I love graphs. I love staring at graphs. The way graphs work and different phenomena on graphs, I love to stare at graphs. Um, and it's exactly what it is. We limited ourselves on purpose. We made ourselves fragmentary on purpose. On purpose. And it's really weird. It's really weird. I'm kind of anxious for the future. I kind of wish I wasn't. I wish I could live in the moment. Jesus. Jesus, are you there? Jesus is an absolute comparative, people, for the equal power that's available to everybody. Well, actually, Jesus is kind of weird because it kind of says that it'll give you whatever you want, whatever you ask for, and that seems kind of irresponsible. Don't you think that seems kind of irresponsible? Whatever. I didn't write it. It's not my problem. But Jesus is an absolute comparative for the power that's available to everybody. If you feel like talking to Jesus and it makes you feel better, go talk to Jesus. If you want to talk to the Creator, go talk to the Creator, because pure consciousness, infinite consciousness. Um, prayer is weird. Words are weird. It's like, I wonder if our thoughts send out vibrational waves like our words, because our words definitely do. They do, for sure. And those waves never dissipate. Ever. Ever. They just get smaller and smaller and smaller until we can't observe them anymore, but they're still there. They never dissipate. It's the law of conservation of energy. They don't dissipate. They stay there forever. So why entropy exists. I'm telling you, the universe is a chaotic place, and it's not going to last forever. But what's beyond the universe? You don't know. You never will know. If you think that you're going to know, stop, because you're not. It's part of the fragmentary duality, the known and the unknown. But if you wanted to, you could live in the oneness that is so fucking great. So great to be in oneness. Because there's no win or lose. It's only win-win. There's no good or bad. It's only good. There's no lie or truth. It's only truth. There's no consciousness or unconsciousness. It's only consciousness. Actually, consciousness is like the only thing that isn't a duality. Like, I cannot comprehend being unconscious whatsoever. Whatsoever. So, like, consciousness is like a singularity, like an observable singularity. It's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. I really gotta, like, do more research. But yeah. This has been Megan Sings, episode number 2. And, depends on your definition of what singing is. But yeah. Take what I said to heart. Think about it. Don't let it hurt your brain too much. Bye-bye.